everyone. Welcome to today's Ask Me Anything style chat. My name is Stephanie Soretsky. I'm the multimedia producer here at Unbounce on the marketing team. If you're familiar with our usual once a month on webinars, you may have chatted to me if you've asked questions. So this is me, this is my face. And today we have with us Jodie Hewson and Lindsay Sykes, and they're from InTouch Insight Systems. Jodie is the director of marketing and Lindsay is the product marketing specialist. How's it going, guys?
Great. We're excited to be here.
Awesome. So do you want to give the people just a little brief description of what you guys do at InTouch Insight?
Yeah, so InTouch Insight is a data collection company. A lot of our products are around capturing data in the field and then allowing people who manage retail, restaurant, those types of where there's lots of locations and allowing them to manage their operations and their services. We have lots of different products ranging from some that are more traditional, like mystery shopping, and then we've moved into a lot of the mobile space, like apps and stuff like that.
Very cool. So a lot of different things that you probably have used for landing pages for, and you guys have been Unbounce customers since this March, but you've already racked up an impressive amount of landing pages, over 80, which
Yeah.
is super awesome. So today we're going to be asking you guys questions that the Unbounce audience wanted to know, and you guys submitted them through the landing page when you registered. And if you're on Twitter right now using the hashtag #unwebinar, you can ask any questions that you didn't think you could ask. We'll try and do our best to answer them within the next 30 minutes. So let's get started. So guys, how about you start by walking us through your collaborative process from the idea of a landing page to the actual creation?
Well, I'd say in terms, for us, it's really just about assessing our funnel, looking to see where there's gaps, where there's friction, what kind of content we can reach people with. And then we usually try and get that message together, get something that's quick. We usually just use best practices. We find that a lot of the templates in Unbounce, they work. So they convert well. You have the flexibility of putting forms on there. So we just really want to target where there's gaps for us based on our different products, our different brands, and then from there, we just try and make sure that we get the best product we can in the shortest amount of time, and just kind of pump out content and perfect from there.
Very cool. So who actually designs each landing page?
It's actually a collaboration between the two of us, and it tends to be touch and go. And we also recently added a new person to our team, so because we're a very small team, and because of that, we've had to become very specialized generalists. So we've had to learn how to design, we've had to learn how to write copy, we've had to learn best practices. So it's really a collaboration. Lindsay will write one for one product, and I'll write one for another, and we'll iterate from there, and we'll take a look at which one's performing and say, hey, this one's doing really well. How do we pull that into this element, or pull that into the other landing page?
Okay, cool. So when you guys are about to create a landing page and design it, since some of you do some parts, do you have a template that you use for copy, or how do you mock it up between the two of you?
I think, well, we've had the chance to experiment with different templates, and based on the data that we've seen from there, we sort of use the same, not all the same templates, but a lot of what we've seen has converted better. We've sort of converted to use across all of our brands, and from there, we tweak it a little bit and just start optimizing and see what works best. We also do have a checklist that we use to kind of make sure that we're not forgetting any elements in terms of, editing content, making sure that the layout is right, that we have all the elements of a form that we need, that our integration is there. So that checklist is really helpful for us, just also for our automation and everything too. So it's just kind of making sure we don't forget any elements that are on there. This checklist is probably one of the best things for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're going through your checklist at the very beginning, when you're about to develop the landing page, how do you decide what the strategic aspect is going to be of each landing page?
Strategic aspect, and how it fits into the funnel.
Yeah.
So kind of what, building on what Lindsay said, is we look at our funnel and we say, okay, we seem to not be converting a lot of traffic, just straight traffic. How can we ease that? Do we need a webinar, or sorry, not a webinar, or maybe it is a webinar, or an ebook, or something along those lines? And how do we, and we take that piece of what do we need to get that conversion funnel going, and build from there. And then generally there's the concept of looking, where is this user coming from? Have they come from our site, or have they come off a display ad? And we think about, in that point, what types of things they need to know. And it's different. If it's an awareness campaign and it's a display ad, it might be a little bit more mysterious, and it might have different, like a storytelling element, and be a longer form, and go down to the bottom where you'll have a form. If it's something where someone's clicked off a website or an ad, we just want to get them and go. So it comes down to two things: where it is in the funnel, and then what type of user and where that user is in the journey, where they are in the journey, to figure out what exactly that page needs to look like.
Okay, great. So we did have one question that had to do with, because you guys are managing so many different products. Say, for example, we'll use the webinar example that you used previously. How do you determine the way that you design the landing page depending on which type of audience you're focusing on? Do you factor audience into your design at all with the landing page, or is it just mainly for the strategic goals, like the message match and the form itself?
Well, I think design for us changes a little bit depending on our brand and product, because we do have two different buyer personas. So we have an operations person, which is what Jodie discussed earlier, who is, the retail and franchise restaurant owners. And then we also have an event marketing audience where we do data capture at events. So that the look and feel of those landing pages tend to be a lot sleeker, a lot sexier, there's a little bit more of a visual aesthetic that we'll add to those ones, where our operations buyer doesn't have as many of those elements. I mean, still, we obviously want them to be visually appealing and eye-catching, but they do tend to change a little bit in terms of aesthetic on that element.
So do you have any tricks within the Unbounce builder itself because you have these two different personas and two different design looks, like what are your tricks within the builder to make sure that you can keep pumping out the amount of landing pages that you have while making sure that you're hitting each design persona?
Those folders, or groups, I'm not sure what they're called, but we use those like crazy, and we have so many groups, and we have them for different campaigns. But when you have so many and you don't want to be typing through and figuring things out, it's a great way to just group them all, see how they're all performing, and compare them. And then also do just a lot of cloning. Cloning is our biggest kind of thing with that, especially you can clone off the A/B test. That's a great one. But yeah, those types of little tricks and stuff like that. But I think the main thing is the cloning and the groups.
Okay, so you just touched on A/B testing a little bit there, and at the beginning you were talking kind of about your optimization process. So would you mind walking our audience through how you guys test your different variants? Like obviously you can make as many variants and then see which traffic, but what's your actual strategy when you're looking at A/B testing a specific variant against another?
We usually try and take a look at how our pages are performing every few weeks. We do have a lot of feature updates that our products have every 2 weeks, so those are different ways that we can optimize. Sometimes we'll add like pricing charts and all of that kind of thing. For us, we usually wait to be about a confidence of, is it 80%?
Yeah, we wait to 80. We don't, because there's so many landing pages, you're not having all your traffic at once, so it takes a little bit longer to get statistically significant results. But what we tend to do is just one variant versus another. We just use those two A/B tests, and when we get to that level, we promote that and add a new test. And it's a constant optimization. But when we first launched, I think one of our main products and one of our main pages had a conversion rate of 1 point something. It's now up to around in the 6% level. And it's the constant iterations and the constant tests. What you might think is the best landing page ever might not respond and get the type of conversion rates you're waiting. So that's why we try to de-emphasize perfection and just do it's all about best practices, getting, your content in there and throwing it up and seeing what happens, and testing as often as you can.
So what is your feedback process then? When you are running so many variants and so many tests, how do you guys talk to each other and figure out which ones you're going to optimize and when?
I think one of the biggest things we tend to do, we meet probably about every 2 weeks, and again, we just look at that funnel and look at what's performing, what's not, and we use those groups to look at specific ones based on maybe candid feedback from sales saying, hey, leads have been slow lately, what's going on, and we'll focus on that and say, let's come up with something. And yeah, it's those funnel meetings where we have the every 2 weeks looking at that process, figuring out what's working and not working, and then identifying what type of test we can run. Hey, I thought, maybe we should try something from this where it is working, and pulling those types of elements into other pages.
The other thing that we've done too is landing pages that are more top of the funnel that are converting well, but that aren't really direct sales calls to action. What we've tried to do is a two-tier approach where they'll download something like a checklist, or middle of the funnel they'll watch a demo video, and then on the thank you page we'll have all of their information populated into another form, and say, why don't you sign up for a free trial, try the mobile version of this checklist, or you've watched a demo video, now you're ready for a trial. So that's other ways that we try and optimize things that are already performing, but that we need an added element in terms of actually capturing more of pushing people down the funnel.
And are you seeing a lot of success with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of our most actually successful tactics. That stage by stage process, especially with the download. The downloads, one of our things is a checklist software that for your phone, and having that checklist, people are looking for checklists all the time. So we give them checklists, they download them, we say make this checklist mobile, and they sign up for a free trial, and that's doing really well. So it's something that as we upgrade all of our other products, we're using for everything. It's all about demo videos.
Yeah, we really try and use thank you pages as a means of converting more and providing more information to people.
Yeah, and it's such an easy win. We definitely do that at Unbounce ourselves. You just have to make sure that you customize that last page and have your second ask, and yeah, you can definitely see amazing results. So if anybody's watching this and you don't do that currently, you should definitely give that a try.
Yeah.
So going back to your funnel meetings and when you're figuring out whether things are working and what you want to optimize, how do you decide who implements the changes? Is there someone who is, say, in charge of a specific page, so if something happens on that page, they're the one to update it, or do you guys kind of fluidly delegate week to week?
We've been fluidly delegating, and as I said, we have been a team of 2 for a while, so it has been that very back and forth. We just actually brought a new person in today, and as that's going to happen, it's going to be more designated. Lindsay will be owning certain products, and our new person will be owning different products, and they'll be in charge of actually coming up and having those funnel meetings in advance of our funnel meeting, figuring out what they want to do that week, or that sprint, those 2 weeks, and figure out and let me know this is what I'm working on this week, and what do you think? And we all could engage on ideas and stuff like that. So it's kind of an in motion thing. In the past, it's been that fluid development, and we're moving towards something where people are owning it. But that's the way you grow, right? You start off doing everything and as much as you can to see results, and then as soon as you can start seeing results, you start putting those systems in place.
And what have you found to be really helpful with the Unbounce Builder for you to start being able to do that, like so that one person isn't doing everything, like you can split up tasks? Like what aspect of the builder is most helpful for you?
I think, again, our folders, we keep everything very organized, so we each know where things are, how we label things, even just like the A/B test. Everything is very clearly, I find, laid out and organized, and I think when you have multiple people working together on things, that tool becomes very useful for you. because it's easy if you keep it organized to track down where everything is. And I mean, luckily, like as a team of 2, it has been a lot of work, but we're in constant communication, and it is very easy for us to share that. But we've always kind of had the mentality that we are going to grow, and we want to keep things as organized as possible now, so that when we have new people starting, the way that we do things is clear and everybody kind of can access that. But when we do divide, you know, that it won't be as much of an issue then. But it's just, I think that's a very big tool for us.
Well, and one of the things we're just finding, just to add on that, is now that we've been doing this for like 8 months, we have a ton of variants. Like we're up to M or something on some of our landing pages, and you kind of forget what was that, and it's kind of cool to see them all laid out and their conversion rate. So if you're now pumping something out that has a lower conversion rate in the past, you can actually bring that back in, and maybe it was just, you know, a fluke or something along those lines, and you can actually bring that back in, and anyone can see that. It's just laid out so easily. It doesn't have to be like, hey, Jodie, what was going on back here, and did that work? Or, you know, you can just see the data, it's there, and you can put it back.
Yeah, all of the data is very clear.
So how often would you say that you use landing pages that you had potentially gotten rid of, and then you do bring back?
It's actually only just happened now, and it was when we added new pricing, and we were like, hey, the old pricing was working better, and now that was obviously a point when it was priced lower. So it's kind of a weird situation, but we are highlighting it as something that's going to start happening more.
Okay, cool. And this is kind of a fun question. When you guys hit the designer version of writer's block, what do you do to re-inspire your landing pages? How do you go about coming up with new designs or rejigging a template?
I think for us, we just kind of go back to our overall goal, which is to get out something that doesn't compromise our quality standards, but something that we can get out quickly. What are the goals? What are people looking for? How do we get that out as quickly as possible? It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect the first time, because you can't learn unless you put something out there. So if we want to try something new, we can go ahead and kind of, you know, whatever comes to mind, put that out there, and then we can learn from that and adapt afterwards.
Yeah, I think the thing is we don't get it often. We don't get designer's version of writer's block because we don't think of, I want this perfect, amazing thing. We think in, okay, how can I improve this tiny little thing? And it just seems to happen over time. And when you decrease that thought that I have to make something perfect, you kind of lose your writer's block or your design block.
No, yeah, that makes sense. Like when you're just focusing on like one little specific aspect of the page, like it's not going to revamp it entirely. You're just going to work on making that one thing, whether it's your headline or maybe your hero shot. And yeah, awesome. And so when you are getting ready to, actually, sorry, I think we already covered that. So we've kind of exhausted already most of the design questions that we have. So let's get into some more general stuff about your processes in Unbounce itself. Someone wanted to know, of all the email marketing platforms that you've worked with, I'm not sure if you've worked with multiple or just one, which one did you find the best to use in conjunction with Unbounce?
I think for us, probably Infusionsoft. At least in my experience, I found that Unbounce integrated a lot better with Infusionsoft than some of the other landing page softwares that we did try, just in terms of elements on the form, and you know, being able to have those custom fields and everything like that. It really helped just for us having that kind of pop in and then setting up the automation. But that's just my experience. I'm not sure if Jodie, if you've used a little bit more automation softwares than I have. So
yeah, and I guess so in the past we were using HubSpot, so it's hard to say. I've used a lot of different email softwares, but none with Unbounce except Infusionsoft. So that's why it's kind of we can't give a full, you know, we've tested lots and this is how we feel. But I've used HubSpot in the past, which we actually moved away from because it wasn't as special. The landing page software wasn't as specialized in that, and we were using it as an all-in-one software. And we actually converted into using Infusionsoft and Unbounce, and we do really like that integration. So that's, unfortunately, we can't say exactly, this works better, but that is what we have been using.
And so you're finding with going into more niche programs that you're able to, I guess, target your campaigns more because you're not using something that is a general product?
Yeah, and that was our strategy with that. Well, last year around this time, we looked at all the things that are blocking us from getting things done faster. And one of them was just that HubSpot, it does amazing things, and it has automation, and it has a lot of elements, but it was harder to make landing pages. It was harder to customize them, and that was really getting in the way of our productivity. You can see we have 80 landing pages, and we use every single one of them. So we needed something that was able to do it fast. So we did move down into something more specialized, like Unbounce, and it's just been light years. It's so much faster. Those templates are awesome, and I'm not trying to sell Unbounce, but we are just really happy with the platform.
No, that's awesome, and it's good to hear, which is why we had you guys on the AMA anyways. So we want our customers and anyone else that's interested to see what someone who actually uses Unbounce, like what their process is. And since you guys have like 80 landing pages, it's really great to hear from you. So we actually do have another question that we did briefly touch on in terms of like tweaking design a little bit, but is it a good idea for you to use the same template for all of your landing pages, especially if you have a lot? Or say in your experience, do you guys use different templates for different like landing page initiatives, or do you stick with the same one for all of them?
It's kind of well, it's not a mix. We don't stick with the same one for all of them. As I mentioned, when we're doing something that's very lead generation oriented, and the people coming to it are from an AdWords campaign or directly from our website off a free trial button, it's the similar template, and it's that form at the top, everything above the fold you need. You have your headline, you have your points. It's a value proposition, and then underneath there's the supporting points that lead down, and you have your elements like customers and testimonials, etc. That is one template that we use, and it's a best practice. That's what you should use, and that would help. As I mentioned, though, when we do things that are different types of campaigns, so people are coming from a media buy on an event marketing website, and they've never heard about our product, and they're just coming in, we change that up a bit to help educate. Design to me is not for design's sake, it's to assist your user. So as long as you're thinking about where your user's coming from and what they know and designing for that, it works. But as that said, that template that we just talked about, that's the best thing for quick lead generation.
Awesome. I'm getting a bit of an echo. One second. Hello. Okay, that's a little bit better. So we're coming up to the end. We have about 8 minutes left. So I have a couple questions that we got that I thought would be a really good way to start ending things off. So what is your number one rule for your landing pages? Like, what do you always keep in mind at the top when you create any landing page?
User. Yeah, the user. Who is? Yeah, it just. But again, it's just like iteration and getting things done. But the goal, you have to think about the goal beforehand. You have to go in there knowing who the user is and ensuring that the purpose is met. Again, going back to what Jodie said about whether they're coming from Google AdWords traffic or organic traffic straight from off the website, that user is different. So you need to think about that before you design, because I think that really just changes the dynamic and how much information you need to put. We always use rules like, our white balance, like our white space to image text ratio, all those little kind of rules. But I think our number one rule is all about the user.
Yeah.
Great. And what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned throughout your time using Unbounce since March?
Really just testing.
Yeah, iterations. We keep singing the same song, but it just It's about getting something up that will work and that you can learn from so you can improve. And it's figuring out, it's just reminding yourself you're not trying to make the perfect thing. You're just trying to make something that you can get data on.
And so what was the biggest, I guess, like discovery that you made as you started testing in Unbounce? Whether it has to do with process or a specific landing page, like whether you had one moment where you're like, oh man, like either that was really cool or I wasn't expecting it.
I think for us it was probably once we started doing like that two-tier approach that we talked about, because we had made these checklists for people to download, and we were having such a high conversion rate, but we knew that we needed to be pushing them through the funnel more, and we kind of had to sit down and brainstorm what else can we offer them that still kind of relates to this checklist and gives them more value for what they originally were looking for. And that's when we kind of started our checklist to trial and trying the mobile checklist. And then we kind of took that because that was doing well and put it from when we had a demo video, putting our demo video to trial. And I think it's just really trying to use the content you can to push people through the funnel. And our thank you pages are a big thing for us, doing that, just offering as much value as you can and getting people as much information and value as possible.
It's always fun when you see like someone downloaded a checklist and then you see, and they're an amazing lead and it's like what you want, and then this person just signed up for a trial and you're like, yes,
you're just like waiting, and I hope that second email comes, and when it does, it's pretty satisfying.
So we'll actually end off with a question that we got from Twitter, and this question is from Ronald. So what game plan would you recommend for someone who is marketing books?
Books they've written, I wonder. It's a tough one. I think thinking in terms of, again, where your users are coming from, how they're stumbling up, and building stories around why they need the books as that kind of initial thing to get them involved. Maybe it's like a couple pages of the book that you can download with, just your email address, get it sent to you, and then and just keep building that funnel.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on our second ever Unbounce AMA. It was really awesome to hear what you guys had to say and hear all about your landing page design process. It was great having you.
Thanks so much, Stephanie.
And for anyone watching, thanks so much for registering. This is a brand new Unbounce initiative, so if you have any feedback for us at all, what you like, what you didn't like, or even just topics or that you would like to have on the AMA in the future, please let us know. You can email me at stephanie@unbounce.com. We're always looking to ourselves iterate on our content, so it would be great to get some feedback from you guys. And have an excellent day. Bye.
Bye.